All right, everybody, and now here's Jason. Hi, this is Jason Eagle, your natural health authority, and I am what's called a quantum reflex analysis practitioner. So if you ever listen to the Dr. Bob Marshall radio show and he talks about, well, you should probably go see one of those guys. I'm one of those guys. You can call my office, 734-985-5891. You can go to my website, that's strategichealing.us. Right now, I am on my Facebook Live page. All the radio shows get recorded as videos and posted to my Strategic Healing page, which is Strategic Healing, and then also later to my YouTube channel, which is Jason Eagle QRA. So, as I say, you can't rewind radio, but you can rewind video. So, you can always see these things later. Today, we're going to, I realized that the last show was like, I kind of had you hanging on the hook because I said, I'm going to tell you about something really great and it's free and I didn't do it. I ran out of time. We had a call from Dr. Sivakumar last week. We're not today, but I think next week or the week after that, we're going to have him on again. A doctor who has been treating the coronavirus patients. And we are following today again with immune system, talking about immune system, because last week we really talked about, okay, well, what should we do? And then we talked about, okay, we're trying to build antibodies. We're trying to build an immune system, meaning this virus or any other virus or any type of condition, most conditions, you have to understand what medical science has really, really understood. And there's so many studies to prove this, and it just keeps recursing back on itself and basically saying, yep, that's right, that's right. The vast majority of the things that we call disease, or we call what people die from, especially modern people die, is you can list them right off the top, which is we've got heart disease, we've got cancer, we have diabetes, we have kidney failure, we have lung problems, meaning a person gets the pneumonia, all of these different things. There's a whole bunch of Alzheimer's, these different types of things. Just take your pick on what people are dying from. They can be related, and there's correlations as well as direct relationship to show that it's infection. Infection, meaning our body's immune system. So this is why we're talking about the immune system, because your immune system fights infection. Your immune system is designed to respond to infection. Okay, I'm going to use an analogy here, which is you grow bones. Everyone grows bones. If you don't grow bones, you're a jellyfish. And a jellyfish is not very stable. A jellyfish better be in water because it cannot be walking around ground. You need a backbone. You need bones. Well, we develop bones from the stresses of gravity, meaning just like a person who's working out, you develop muscles from stressing and straining those muscles, not using them or not taking pills to make you have them. Even if you took the pills, you still have to have a stimulus and a response. So the stimulation, so let me give you this example, which is what we know from the space age is that when astronauts go and they go into space, we just watched last week, the SpaceX going up, and they're up there with the, that space station that's floating around out there. There are people that are up there for months at a time. There have been men and women that have been up there for over a year, okay? Well, what they know is when they come back, they turn into jello. They literally are, there was one of the astronauts wrote a great book stating, because he spent a lot of time up there, months and months at a time. And he wrote a book stating what happened to his body. And everything hurt. He lost muscle mass. He lost bones. He became like a brittle old man, and his bones turned into what would be looking like osteoporosis, but it was an infection. It's just because without the stimulus, without gravity, then the body goes, I won't grow it, and I'll use those minerals for something else. So what you have to understand that it is the thing that is what we would call negative, meaning it's the pressure that makes you build up the muscle or build up the bone to the pressure. That's the same thing with the immune system. It's not that puts you in a clean place and then, kind of like that's what we need to do. Just put you in a sterile environment. No, if you put a person in a sterile environment, they will lose their immune system because the body says, if I don't need it, well, I'm not going to maintain it and I'm not going to build it. And so we need exposure to things. Now, the secret is if you're too sick or too weak, is the exposure going to blow you out? Is it too much exposure? So that's the idea of wearing the masks and other stuff, is for people who have weakened immune systems, meaning can we protect them from getting exposed to this stuff, right? But they're still going to get exposed to this stuff. And we want people to be exposed to that stuff. But the whole idea is the healthy ones that get exposed to whatever it is, type of infection, they build an immune system, which is essentially like their own vaccination, which is essentially and let me tell you, I've been also doing some studies, which is a real truth came out, which is when we say they're testing a vaccine and they're trying to come up with one, and it's going to be in about a year and a half, okay? They're trying to look for a successful one, right? Any vaccination means, and what is a vaccination? It's a shot that they stick into you of a little bit of the thing that would make you sick. And what they do is they change it so it's not so highly infectious, but you develop a response to it, but it's a controlled response to it. Now, when you say that it is successful, what does successful means? It means you've developed an immune system that is as good as, because you can't get any better than this, it's measured against what's called natural immunity, meaning the gold standard, the best of the best, is healthy people that develop their own immunity. And when we develop, let's say, a vaccination or some sort of applied immunity, that's measured against that. So it's always preferred to have your own developed immunity. And I'm not saying that, some people are not going to take a shot. That doesn't negate, taking a shot does not negate that it's best for you to have your best immunity. You should have your best thing going on. Okay? And so today we're going to get back into talking about what are some of these things that develop an immune system. This is Jason Eagle, your natural health authority. You can contact my office. I'm going to put this one out again, which is 734-985-5891. I'm also on Patreon. Sometimes people listen to me and they say, I'm never going to come in to see you, but I really like what you're doing. This goes out to people all over the world. I get responses from people in Malaysia and Russia, and I'm pretty big in some of these places, which is, they even translate it and watch me. I get a lot of support from people over in Asia and China and Japan. People see and they like my videos, and but what that means is Patreon is a way for you to say, I'd like to support you. You can donate some money, you can donate, and you become a member of that, and you get special privileges to some other videos and stuff that I do, especially the homesteading stuff, because I also run a farm. I live on a farm. I eat the foods that I grow, and put the minerals back in. And so what I speak of to you, I've gone all the way, and I speak from experience, not just as a practitioner treating people I'm coming up on almost 3 decades now of doing this, of experience, of working with people, including my own body. We'll do a little recap, which is last week I talked about the story of your immune system. And remind you start off sterile as a baby in the amniotic fluid. As you come out the birth canal, if you are born naturally, then you start developing the immune system from the mucus. Then you're given colostrum from the mother, which is a stand-in immune system. We're going to get back to that was your homework, which is to read that study on the bovine, basically cow colostrum, which is you can buy it and you can take it. And, if you're an adult, you're not going to nurse on a human being anymore. You're not going to get human breast milk. You don't need to. The bovine, which is from cows, there is what's called active human immunoglobulins, meaning the guts that makes you develop an immune system. Your body doesn't know the difference between a sheep and a cow and a human. And so these milks, especially colostrum that comes from these animals, including humans, is an immune system, is these IgG and IgA, is these things, meaning you can take it and it goes into your body. And let me go to that study, okay? So, yeah, going back to this. So, where are we at? Okay, yeah, this comes from an article called Frontiers, Effects of Bovine Colostrum. So, let me go through and I'm going to read this part, okay? It says mechanistically, that's a hard word to say. Basically it means the mechanics, meaning, if I always say this, is if you could take a electron, if you could zoom yourself in and make yourself super, super small, what does things look like? What are the mechanisms? Like if you could zoom yourself really small and go inside a watch, you would see the gears and you would see all these different things. If you went inside your body, you would see different cells look like little bubbles but they have like arms and legs and all these different types of things. They have a mechanism, okay? So the mechanism of bovine IgG, meaning these immunoglobulins, bind to many human pathogens and allergens, can neutralize experimental infection in human cells and limits gastrointestinal inflammation. Furthermore, bovine IgG binds to human Fc receptors, which enhance phagocytosis, killing of bacteria. That's what this means. The killing of bacteria and antigen presentation in bovine IgG supports the gastrointestinal barrier function in vitro, meaning that's in a petri dish. These mechanisms are becoming more and more established and explain why bovine IgG can have immunological effects in vivio. In vivio, this is in science, what that means is in humans, or in living tissue. So you can do it in a petri dish, but then that's different. It has to do the same thing inside a living being. So this means inside a living being. When a person eats it, the inclusion of oral bovine immunoglobulins in specialized dairy products and infant nutrition may therefore be a promising approach to support immune function in vulnerable groups such as infants, children, elderly, and in immunocompromised patients. You got people with immune system, or anybody. We're all immunocompromised patients. Basically consider yourself as, if you live in this modern world, you're immunocompromised. So this means, is there something I can do? Absolutely. Every human being, you could give this to a cat and it would do this. You could give this to a dog, so we're just talking about humans right now, this is something that can develop what a human person would have if they had a good immune system. So it makes a good immune system better. It makes a mediocre system great, and it makes a zero immune system, a very, very weak immune system, from an elderly or an infant or something like that, it makes it great. So it's something, meaning you don't have to work hard to develop your thing. Here, I'll give it to you. It's like someone doing your homework for you, right? And then handing it in, and you get the credit for it. That's what bovine immunoglobulins are. And that comes from the study. So what we're talking about is, as I talked about last week, which is developing an immune system. And now I'm going to get to what I put all the hype about, which is there something free? I'd like to get your money, right? If you want to spend money, I can help you spend your money. I am a master, not an expert. I'm a master in supplements, in terms of, I'm a master in herbs. I'm a master in foods. I'm a master in what are these things that I can do for my body. I'm a master in Western herbs and Eastern herbs and all of these different types of things, the chemistry of the body. I'm also a master in therapies, which is whether it be outside therapies like what's called craniosacral therapy, or massage therapy, or deep tissue body work, or adjustments of the body. I'm also expert, or a master in determining what are some of the things that we can do for our body. I'm going to get into this later, which is what's called biohacking. Hacking a computer. If you know how to hack a computer, you can get the computer to do whatever you want. You can even get it to do stuff that it wasn't even seemingly designed to do, but it was buried inside the code. So like hacking a computer, can you hack your body? Absolutely. There are a bunch of stuff, and the vast majority of them are free. You're doing it already. Okay. So this goes into what we're talking about, the immune system. So what we have out in the world, they're talking about immune system, including vaccine, that is what's called acquired, meaning, like I said, baby crawling on the floor. Going back to, as I was saying, the astronaut. Let me recap with that analogy, which is, it is the baby, the child, touching the dirty things that go into their mouth that is a little bit of those pathogens that their immune system, when they're healthy, gets exposed to it. And now, instead of getting sick from it, or maybe just slightly getting sick, tiny little fever that lasts for an hour or something like that, and then they're perfect, then they're back. That's immunity. They developed immunity. But see, you don't develop immunity without the stress, without the exposure. So like I said, the astronauts, when they come back, they have to spend time rebuilding their body, and which includes rebuilding their bones. And they have to have the stress put back on them, the stress of gravity. So the stress of life, and there was a book that was written called The Stress of Life, and we build what's called adaptation. You adapt to something. Something that's strong is adaptive, and that's what we want. Now, adaptive is something meaning I was born a poor person, but a poor person can. So innate means what you're born with. Okay, some people are born rich and some people are born poor, but poor people can get rich just as well as rich people can get poor, right? So what you got, you can change that. Okay. Now, the question has also been, let's say I was born poor, meaning, could we change that? Could we change that deck? You can't go back in time, but you can change your body. So this is what's called changing innate immune system, meaning as if you went back in time and gave you the immune system that you may never have had. And you give yourself the rich one and wake up the next morning going, I was born rich. Yes. Okay. So now this goes into this other study, which is, I mentioned a little bit before, but I'm going to really go into this one. Okay, this is a research article. It was published in JAMA or something like that. It's called Voluntary Activation of the Sympathetic Nervous System and Attenuation of the Innate Immune Response in Humans. Let me translate. Voluntary means like you volunteer for something like that. That includes, let's say, you would volunteer to actually have something injected into your arm. So you either volunteer, which means you choose it. So you can either volunteer to have that given to you, or you can volunteer a lifestyle change or a biohack. Okay? So what the study basically talks about is they took two groups of humans. I think there was 12 on each side. Okay? And what they did is they took a group of 12, and these subjects were trained for 10 days in what's called a breathing techniques. These were deep breathing techniques, but in specific, they are what's called cyclic hyperventilation followed by breath retention. Translation, what does that mean? That means what they were doing is they were breathing in and out quite fast, which is literally, you can look it up. It's called the breath of fire. Meaning, what they're doing is they're taking in deep breaths. It's hyperventilating. Meaning, hyper means extra, and ventilation means ventilating air, getting air. So instead of breathing slow and normal, what they're doing is they're breathing relatively fast and deep, and they're filling their bloodstream up with oxygen. And there's a lot of different ways of doing it. I think it's like 30 breaths or something like that. And then after they do that, then what they do is if you want to try this and you do this, make sure when you start it, you be careful, because there are people that can pass out from this. So make sure you're sitting down, have some pillows and stuff around you, because all you're doing is basically filling your bloodstream up with a bunch of oxygen. And then what you do, and like I said, I think it's like 30 breaths. And then after the 30 breath, what you do is you hold that breath in. and then hold it in. And you can hold your breath for quite a while. I know people in over a minute or something like that. If you got cardiovascular issues, you need to check with your doctor before this, okay? Let me follow up with that. But these were relatively healthy people, okay? There are some conditions in terms of doing what's called these breathing techniques. You've got to pass some muster, meaning you got to make sure that you don't have a risk for this or that, okay? But that being said, anyone can start practicing. You can start practicing deep breathing techniques. Now, this one in particular, there's a science behind that, because what they're doing is they're filling, like a bellows, they're filling up their bloodstream with oxygen, and then they hold the breath in, and they don't breathe, but because there's so much oxygen that's stored in the blood already that their body is living off that stored oxygen. Okay, and then they hold their breath for, I don't remember, there's actual data on how they did it, but this is well known in terms of the exercise world, okay? And then after that, then what they do is after they do a series of these different breathing techniques, then what they do is they do cold water immersion. And there are some places that you can, when these gyms open back up, there are places that can go to that you can go to do this. So it's what's called hypothermia or hypo. There is you can do hyper and you can do hypo. Hypo means cold, meaning adding cold, or you can take cold showers. Okay, you do your breathing techniques and then you jump in the cold shower. Okay, what this does is it basically the voluntary action, meaning you normally live your life to voluntarily do something. I'm going to walk out that door, or I'm going to do something. I'm going to sit down and do these breathing techniques, meaning you're taking your system and you are directing it to do specific things, okay? So what the study found is that voluntary activation of the sympathetic nervous system results in epinephrine release and subsequent suppression of the innate immune response in humans in vivio. Well, remember I brought that up before. In vivio means living. These results could have important implications for the treatment of conditions associated with excessive or persistent inflammation, such as autoimmune disease. Okay, let me translate that. So people heard that they say suppression of the innate immune response. I thought we wanted to build it. We don't want to suppress it. Aha, this is the key. This is the key. Suppression, okay? Working out breaks the tissue down, thereby making it rebuild itself. So you don't, it's like you don't make an omelet without cracking some eggs. So this is controlled, meaning you're not going to hurt yourself through the breathing. Oxygen doesn't hurt yourself, and cold water is not going to hurt you. What it does is it suppresses that immune system, which then gets the immune system to say, "Ooh, I need to prepare for them when this happens again." And what it does is it builds your immune system. Now, what did they do to these people? Remember I said last week is what they did is they had the breathing techniques and then the cold. So the 12 group over here, they did this. And then there was another group of 12 where they didn't do anything. And then both of them, they created what's called endotoxemia, meaning they injected E. coli into their body. They injected something that would make them sick. And what happened is the group that got the intervention had a huge result in terms of developing the cytokines and developing the plasma levels of anti-inflammatory stuff, increasing the epinephrine levels, basically anything that doctors who are looking at immune system saying, did you build an immune system? And we gave you something that make you, how quickly did you react to it? How quickly did you diffuse that bomb? I like to use that analogy, which is someone, you go like a double agent and it's like, you got 30 seconds, 10 seconds, you better diffuse the bomb. That's what the immune system is. And people that went through these different things, these were free. Anyone can do this, which is this breathing technique with cold. When you combine those two, any human being, what it does is it develops and increases what's called the innate immune system, meaning it is fixing what you came in here with. Like I said before, the real thing is you got what you got and that's it. Could you change that? Yes, this changes this. And this is where we get into what's called biohacking. And biohacking is in the exercise world as well as now it's in the autoimmune world. Meaning doctors who are and health practitioners who are helping people to deal with things that maybe they developed or got born with, like the lupus, like the MS, like Crohn's disease, like a bunch of these different things that are considered autoimmune, meaning we don't know what's wrong with your immune system. It's not reacting the way it's supposed to, and you're going to be sick for the rest of your life, okay? Can you fix these people? Yes. And then now what we discovered is not only is it helping people that, for instance, are unhealthy, it's also helping people who already are healthy but want to be healthier. So both people, both groups, all human beings respond to this. So let's talk about these things of biohacking. Okay? One of the things that, actually, let me do this. I'm going to take a break here, and I will be back, and then we'll get into this. So I'll be right back. Okay, everybody, we're back. This is Jason Eagle, your natural health authority, and we're following up with this, what's called biohacking, okay? In biohacking, let me just list off these things, and then I'll get back into them individually. Oxygen, okay? Again, like I said, these things are free. Like everybody, oxygen is free. It's all around you, and breathing techniques where you concentrate more oxygen just by speeding up your breathing or making your breathing deeper or controlling the breathing. This is huge in biohacking in terms of, like I said, rewiring your computer, rewiring your whole system. Sleeping/dreaming, meaning there is sleep stuff that we can do with sleep. Do I just go to sleep? You can just like, like going to the gym. There's different exercises you can do. There's different types of sleeping that you can do. It's not just sleeping, and there's dreaming exercises you can do. Fasting, or what's called autophagy. Everybody can fast, meaning, just don't eat, okay? And you can do fasting in terms of water fasting, you can do juice fasting. The one that I'm talking about here is what's called water fasting. And there was a study done on this. The 2016 Nobel Peace Prize in Medicine by this Japanese doctor was all about autophagy, fasting, what it does for the body. I'll get into that. Gravity, okay, which is gravity and weight. You're already standing in gravity. Can you use gravity? Okay. Yes, what's called weight distribution and standing in terms of how do I hold my center of gravity, as well as there are things that you can do to affect gravity. A trampoline, those little jogging trampolines, those cheap little, my wife just picked one up off the side of the road, and most people throwing them out. Right? You get one of those little, what it does is you are increasing gravity as you bounce down. When you come down to the bottom part, you're actually heavier, and that's pressure on all your cells. And then when you bounce up and then you hover in space for a little bit, you're actually anti-gravity. And what it does is it squeezes and releases and squeezes and releases and squeezes and releases all of your cells, including your spinal column and your brain. And what it does is, if you could massage your brain, if you could get in there and go ka-chunk, ka-chunk, massage your brain, or massage your heart, or massage your legs, that's what this does. So let's go back to the very beginning, which is, let's start with oxygen. In biohacking, everybody can do breathing. anyone can do some deep breathing. And you can go online in terms of go to YouTube and there's all kinds of videos, or you can just do it on your own. Just sit down, find a place that's comfortable. A lot of times when they show people doing yoga, they'll show people sitting on the floor with their legs crossed or something like that. Why do they do that? Well, because physiologically, actually, it's better for when you're sitting on the floor or sitting on, say, a cushion on the floor. What it does is it makes your spine get into, because you don't want to sit all slouchy. Again, if you are unhealthy and your back hurts, it's fine. Do your breathing in a comfortable position. One of the problems with deep breathing is that it can put you to sleep and then you go, and then you stop doing it. So the whole idea is getting into a comfortable sitting position so that you can have your spine aligned as well as possible. One of the other secrets is close your mouth and hold your teeth together, and then your tongue is behind your teeth. Have your tongue resting behind your teeth so that the tip of your tongue is actually touching or just resting at the roof of your mouth just behind your teeth. You're actually completing a circuit there. There's studies that show this, and that's part of this yogic breathing, but you're essentially basically reconnecting your battery so that your central nervous system is actually more connected, okay? And then you just sit down and you do some deep breathing. And the whole idea is, how do you know a person's doing deep breathing? You watch their belly move. If you're doing a person who's doing panic breathing or basically not good breathing, their chest is moving up and down, right? When they saw movies where the girl is wearing the bustier or whatever, and her chest is heaving, that's unhealthy. That's like a panic type of, no. What you want to look like is your belly comes out. Like when you see little babies breathe. Little babies, when they're laying there, their belly goes up and down. I'm not talking about having a fat belly. But what you want to do is you want to have movement in your belly and not in your chest, not in your shoulders. Sometimes you'll see people when you say, okay, take a deep breath, and they go, and they lift their shoulders up and everything like that. That's a panic breath. And it actually is counterintuitive. Good deep breathing is just what's called diaphragmatic breathing, breathing through your belly. You can breathe through your nose, you can breathe through your mouth, you can do a combination, which is breathe in through your nose and then out through your mouth. There's lots of variations of what you can do with breathing, and it's free. Come on, it's free. Okay, now then we get into sleep, okay? Dreaming. Everybody sleeps, okay? Can it be used as something? Yes, there are some incredible things that people. I did a video that's all what's called Lucid Dreaming, which is everyone dreams, but you don't really know that you're in a dream. But sometimes you do, and especially the dreams that if you find yourself dreaming early in the morning, where you're close to consciousness. So one of the practices that you can do if you don't know how to do some dreaming, which is, most people set their clock or it's set to get up at a certain time, and they feel that they're lazy if they're going to basically sit there and, stay in bed and hit the snooze button or turn the thing off, and then they're afraid that they're going to miss something. Well, now has been a good time to use lockdown as a good excuse. Here's my suggestion. Stay in bed. Stay in bed. And it's that, when you kind of say you lay there for another, let's say, hour, that's very conducive. Let's say it's even 20 minutes. You'll find many people will go deeply into that, immediately fall into that dream state. But yet their consciousness is very close to the surface, and that's the best time for people to kind of go, could this be a dream? And what you do is you wake up in the dream. And then you start seeing your dream body, and then you start making choices. You don't just go with the dream. You start going, I'm conscious in my dream, okay? So another thing I want to bring up about dreaming is this idea of what's called dream, hold on one second, I wrote it down here, a dream lock, okay? Dream lock. There are many people people don't understand that your brain waves are something that can be influenced by a lot of different things. Your brain waves can be influenced by, first of all, your brain waves and your dreams. So let me bring something up. There's a phenomenon going, and I talked about this in the past, which is there's a phenomenon called corona dreams or COVID dreams, meaning people have had this idea of in their dreams, that they had, dreams of the virus. Now, I said this a number of shows ago, which is use this, which is if you wake up in your dream, like there is no corona, there is no COVID in a dream because you are in the dream space, meaning you're all in your head. So these things, like you can't die in a dream, right? You fall off of a building and then you just wake up. So there are no consequences. Your body does not get sick in the dream. So there's no such thing as virus in the dream. Okay. Well, this is because of people being, fear-based type of stuff. It's starting to creep in there. Okay. Some people get locked into dreams. Now, there's another type of dreaming. You did daydreaming when you were a kid. Do you daydream anymore? And so sometimes we are locked out. We are basically, you will pursue your dreams. But what if your dreams are dreams that were suggested? Or what if your dreams died? What if you would have had a different dream, like I want to be this or I want to be that, and then life punched you in the face and now those dreams are gone. And you don't even think those thoughts anymore. You don't play like a kid anymore. You don't daydream. So I'm going to recommend, like an exercise, like if I told you to go to the gym and do some bench presses, I'm going to tell you to do this. Do some dreaming exercises, which lay in bed a little extra longer and see if you can stay in the dream. And then number 2, spend some time. Like people talk about spending time in the Bible, spending time in, meditation. I'm talking about let's spend some time and reawaken up your daydreaming so that you can get out of the dream lock. Now, the dream locking is very, very real, meaning many people are stuck in a pattern, and it's all dream locking comes from you're locked in somebody else's dream, or you're locked in your own nightmare or something that's a suggestion, meaning you don't have to be locked. You can dream whatever you want. You can do whatever you want, especially in the dream space. Like who says you even have to be you? You can be anything. So now that this has been suggested, and that's the bit, people go, what do I do about it? First of all, you just learn about it. When you become observant, when you observe something, that gives you the ability to change. And many times, that's all you have to do is observe something, okay? So now we get into fasting. This is another thing that's free. And let's go into this study that I talked about, which is the... So that 2016 Nobel Peace Prize for Medicine was done on a doctor who did a many year study on, what if people starved? Or what if people, for instance, we looked at rats, but they also looked at all other kinds of animals, which is restricting their diet, restricting their calories, and in fact, even putting them on a fast sometime. Most religions do this, the Christian religion, Muslim religion, that's Ramadan, and again, cleaning yourself out. Is there, beyond a spiritual thing, is there something to do about that? Yes. So what this study showed is that the conclusion of this one says fasting is actually far more beneficial than just stimulating autophagy. Auto means eating yourself. Because if you're not going to eat a sandwich and you won't eat for a day or even eat for a meal, and let's say you're working out or just normally living, your body needs energy. So what it will do is it will break down your body parts. No, but it doesn't get rid of the good stuff. It gets rid of the bad stuff. So it does 2 good things. By stimulating autophagy, which is eating yourself, we are clearing out all our old junky proteins and cellular parts. You basically get rid of the junk ones and put the good ones back in. That's what you want to do. This is anti-aging. This is also with your immune system. And if you got an old junky immune system, how do I get a new immune system? So by doing controlled fasting. Okay, at the same time, fasting also stimulates growth hormone. That's why Hugh Jackman and all these guys that get ready for these movies, these actors, like you watch them, you can actually see like months before they became super ripped, they were actually chubby. They were kind of fat. Like Chris Pratt is a good example of this before he got into the Guardians of the Galaxy. If you remember, you saw him when he was on, Parks and Recreation. He was kind of chubby. Well, he got a good trainer that got a hold of him and had him doing not only very specific workouts in the gym, but also had him doing this fasting. These are these secrets, which is timed fasting, and it stimulates growth hormone. And growth hormone is what then makes muscle production. Okay, when you stimulate growth hormone, it tells your body to start producing some snazzy new parts for the body. We are really giving our bodies the complete renovation. So autophagy, meaning controlled fasting, gives you that new body. Forget about going to that spa, or forget about even getting, surgery parts. Could you do this on your own? Meaning, instead of a facelift, could you fast Yes. Yes, you could. You absolutely. And then when you add a couple of these other things, okay? Now we get into gravity, okay? We already are here in gravity, but can we use gravity? So changing, like a lot of times, so let me just say this. If people were to walk or see me walking, they'll notice that I will catch myself stooping forward, my hack stooping forward, and I'll pull my head back. I am changing the way, and I'm standing more on my heels. Or you'll notice that I'll do all these different types of standing different things, like especially if I'm standing in a line or somewhere, or let's say if I'm walking, you'll watch me all of a sudden become aware and stand very upright and pull my shoulders back, or I can lean forward. And so by changing your center of gravity, what you're doing is changing how your nervous system works, that's the upgrade, okay? I did a video before, which is called toe walking, okay? If you notice that there are people out there, especially kids, you'll notice is that they walk on their tiptoes. They don't walk on their full feet. Well, there's a real correlation between things like mental retardation as well as basically intelligence and things like that, that a lot of times when you find people that are mentally retarded or have some of these brain issues, they tend to walk on their toes, meaning there's something not developed in their neurology. What could you do for that? If you actually did some training, which is get them and say, stand on your heels. Okay, let's pretend this. Let's go and stand in front of a mirror. That's why ballet dancers do it in front of the mirror, so that you can see yourself. And what you can do is by changing your center of gravity, meaning get those people off their toes, train them to start walking more fully on their feet, walking on their heels, becoming aware of it and changing it. What it can do is not only fix their feet, but it's fixing their brain. You can actually increase intelligence and help, because when the feet make contact with the ground, it's more information. And so this is where we get into gravity. Now we get also into trampoline exercises. As I said, these little jogging trampolines, or that's why like all of the boxers did jump roping. When you're doing jump roping, you're bouncing up and down. And as you come down, let's say, for instance, on the little jogging tramp, as you bounce down on it, you bounce up and you go up into the air. And for a split second, you are weightless. And all of your cells, including your lymph cells, your lymph nodes, or your basically lymph channels, there are these little gates in them. And they are these little valves that open and close. They look like the saloon doors. And there are some that make it go to the extremities, going all the way to your feet, and then there are some that go back to your central nervous system. See, the heart is not pumping the lymphatic fluid, it's your muscles that pump it. But what happens is when you go on this, so if you're dealing with people with lymph problems, lymphedema, get them on one of these jogging trampolines. And what it does is as you go up in the air, let's say for that split second where you're weightless, all of the valves open up. And then as you come down, all of the valves close. Normally, there's some that are open and some that are closed. But this is voluntarily, because of gravity, makes them go open, close, open, close. Because sometimes with lymph is some of the valves can get stuck. They can get stuck open or they can get stuck closed. So with people with lymphedema, they're stuck. Some are stuck open and some are stuck closed. So to get that edema or that swelling out of a leg or anywhere in the body, using this gravity, which is gravity is free, no one's going to charge you for it. what it will do is it will pump your lymph fluid and pump, like I said, also your brain. It pumps the cerebral spinal fluid because your spine is all sealed with this fluid inside there. Well, this fluid is also being acted upon with gravity, and it pumps it. So this will clean your body out. This will stimulate all kinds of things. Now we get into thermal. Thermal means hot or cold. Okay, so hot, it's been well known that saunas and hot therapy, hot showers, hot baths, taking hot Epsom salt bath, or like I said, saunas, that's what's called hypertherapy, increasing your body temperature, which stimulates what your body does when you get a fever. When you get a fever, the body raises the body temperature because what it does is that kills viruses, okay? So the heat will kill some things and will also stimulate the production of your T cells and the B cells and all this other stuff. So heat, which anybody can do, anyone can get some hot water, right? And or a sauna. I highly recommend that people got some extra money, get yourself a sauna. You can get one of these portable ones, these different types of things. But again, in a pinch, you can just do hot showers, okay? And then cold. Okay, you know, if you really want to do what the athletes do, which is fill your bathtub up with some cold water and throw some ice cubes in there. And then what they do is you sit down on your bathroom floor. Okay, so get like a one of those bath mats or something like that. Sit down or sit, like I said, what I do is I get a towel and I crunch up the towel and I sit on that because that's my little pillow that I sit on so that I can sit in like that cross-legged position. Okay, and then I do my deep breathing exercises, and then you get into the cold water. And you're talking about just dunk. Now put some towels down because you're going to get water all over the place. You're going to get water on the floor because you're going to, and then you jump into the cold water, and then you jump out. Put the towel, and you're only going in there for maybe about a couple seconds, but some people can stay in for like a minute to 2 minutes. Okay. So you can challenge yourself and do this. And then you bounce back and forth between doing your breathing exercises and into the cold, or let's say a cold shower. Again, I talked about the study of biohacking is how does it renew your body? It will build an immune system, okay? That's the thermal. And again, heat, like I said, is you can do saunas, you can do hot showers, you can do hot baths. And these are things that are free in the world. And if we really understand, now again, like I said, is you want to spend some money and go into, let's say, taking some supplements and stuff like that, I can help you with that. But I really like things that are free because you're going to, if you do some of these things, you're definitely going to feel way different. And you're going to remember who told you. And it's like, could I do more than this? Oh my goodness, there's so much more. I'm using this biohacking as an example of it's not a good movie to watch because there's lots of violence and stuff like that. But the idea is the same, which is, I just forgot that he was one of the superheroes. He was a superhero. He was a normal man, and they tortured his body, and then they turned him into a superhero where he had super healing abilities. This is theory, but it's not theory. This is real. So this is what happens. This is the body can go through these different things by putting it under stresses. And then what it does is it rebuilds the body and it makes it new. Okay. Then there's another thing that when you can, it's if you want to spend a little bit of money for about $150, anywhere between $150 to, sometimes you can find them used and you can find them cheap, is what's called a vibro board. A vibro board is these little shaky things, and you put it on the ground, and it looks about like, the size of a printer, but a little bit longer. And what it does, it bounces back and forth, and it wiggles, and it vibrates, and you can change the speed. And what you do is, all you do is stand on it, and you stand on it, or you can sit down. So I had a bad knee, and I have a relative that had a bad knee, and instead of standing on it, you sit on a chair, and then you put those feet on there, and it vibrates your legs. And what it does is it stimulates this blood flow and lymphatic flow. It sends vibrations through your body. So when you're standing on this thing, what it does is it sends vibrations up into your spinal column, which is, it actually makes the fast twitch or the little twitchy muscles that are at your spinal column constantly look for, because it thinks that it's out of balance. And so it activates your core, which you basically, if you were to go out and run for 20 minutes, you're going to burn these many calories and, and basically, fire this much muscle, increase this much blood flow. If you stood on the vibro plate for 2 minutes, between 2 to 5 minutes, that's the same. Your body doesn't know any difference. It gets the plus more. It gives you the same thing as if running. Okay, so I'm not saying not do exercises, but a vibro plate, what it can do is by incorporating that into these vibrations, like I say, you can do the trampoline, but the vibro board is these micro oscillations that go through your body, like a little vibrator type of thing, but it's your whole body goes, and it shakes you. And what it does is, as I said, is it stimulates the activation of the tendons that connect to your bones. But it also, it increases, because it vibrates all of your tissues, especially the water. And so you can lose fat from this, but it's more about, again, sending this stress. It's not stress in terms of negative stress. It's just stimulus. It's like shaking you. It's like, my wife said, it's like getting off this thing is like shaking baby syndrome. Your head kind of when you have it really, really high. What it does is it literally vibrates all these cells, which then cause them to develop a response. And you'll produce more immune cells. You'll produce more blood flow. It helps to move lymphatic flow. It basically cleans your system out and upgrades your system. If you want to spend a little bit of money, I really highly recommend these things. They're very available right now. I bought one that was off of QVC. It was a pretty cheap price, but you can go on Google and you can just put in vibro board. And they're fun. They're really fun. You can also add other exercises. You don't have to stand on them. So like a lot of the athletes, what they do is they, planking, which is you're up on your elbows. You lay on the floor with your tippy toes touching the floor. And then instead of doing a push-up, you're on your elbows. And you hold your back stiff like a board. That's what's called a plank. And then you can do side planks and all these other things. These develop the core exercises. Well, if you do these exercises on top, instead of your arms on the floor, your arms are on the vibro board. Or instead of your toes on the floor, you flip around and put your toes on the vibro board. Instead of doing, 15 minutes of planking, which hardly anybody could do, 20 seconds is about the same amount as just a couple minutes of doing planking. You can do push-ups on there. You can do all different types of things. Any of the exercises that you would normally do standing. You can lift barbells, all these different types of things. Most of the vibro boards, they come with these little elastic bands so that you can do like arm curls while you're standing on this. And you think, that's not going to do very much. It doesn't have to. So you don't have to have all of this weight. So you don't have to be holding on to like a 10-pound dumbbell. All because when you're sending these vibrations, your body is constantly, the neurology is working. And so any type of exercise that's done, it speeds the process up. So you will grow muscles so many times faster. And you will, again, upgrade your whole immune system because you're sending these different waves into the body. Let's go back. We're talking about increasing oxygen. We're talking about changing your dream state, which changes all your hormones. We're talking about fasting, which not only reduces your calories, but also, like I said, it upgrades your body's ability to make human growth hormone as well as the immune system. We're talking about gravity, even basic walking. Like I said, watch how you walk. Catch yourself in the mirror every once in a while, or catch yourself sitting at your desk going, oh, that's right, sit up nice and tight, right? Or catch yourself sitting on the toilet, right? A lot of people, sit up good and straight, and then even change where you can roll the pelvis forward and roll the pelvis back, where you rock the pelvis. I've helped so many people's backs who've had chronic back issues, where like chronic low back, and I say, okay, you work at a desk. While you're sitting at your desk, just sit there and tuck your pelvis in and then roll and arch your back. And you're rolling your pelvis back and forth. Instead of just kind of sitting all hunched over, what you're doing is you're moving these discs, you're hydrating these discs, and you're fixing this stuff, and you're pumping the fluid inside the spinal column. And so even just sitting there, you can make it beneficial. And you can help yourself by doing natural things, okay? So, like I said, I can help you spend some money. there's some great things that we can do if you want to spend some money. And let's finish up this last part, which is, what are these things that I would first start spending some money if you're going to spend any money on minerals? Okay, what's the cheapest minerals you can get? Sea salt. Get rid of junk iodized salt and start using sea salt. Start salting your food a little bit more. I know a lot of heart doctors really, you're going to retain water. But if you don't have enough salt, you will retain water. It's the same thing as if you have too much salt. You need the right amount of salt. There's other minerals you can do, like a greens mix, which is green grasses and kale and these things, where you can get them in powders. These provide the minerals. Vitamin C. Vitamin C is huge. Make sure you take some, if you're taking like fruits and vegetables, like eat the vitamin. There's a lot of vitamin C that's in red peppers, like red bell peppers. There's a lot. It doesn't have to just be oranges. And, again, have some lemons around and drink some of your water where you squirt like the juice of a whole lemon in your water with a little bit of salt. You're getting some electrolytes there, but you're getting a kick of vitamin C. Vitamin E. Okay, vitamin E is one of these important things. The delta-tocotrienol, the Deltanol that I sell is the super vitamin E, the best type that you can have, and that's a great one. Zinc, one of these basic, simple things. Zinc, if you want to get it in foods, you're talking about like pumpkin seeds and mussels and these other different types of things, as well as like meats and stuff like that. Colors, which is eat more colors. Eat more things that have rich, vibrant colors. If you want to, this is antioxidants, meaning the fruits and vegetables that are bright and vibrant colors. You can also get some very specific antioxidants that, again, if I had people that really want to anti-age and they really want to protect their immune system, they want their brain to work better, they want more energy, I'll turn you on to PQQ, proloquinolone quinone. That's what it stands for, PQQ, which is, it's mixed with CoQ10, and PQQ helps to increase cellular energy. It's anti-aging. It has the quinone in it. It's one of these things, so it's similar to the hydroxychloroquine. Not the same, but it's similar. It's similar in terms of, it's one of these things that helps to give your body energy, and everybody needs more energy. Everyone needs to work on their omega-3s. Everyone should have, instead of avoiding fats, you need to eat fat, eat the good fats. If you want to do it plant-based, anyone can eat avocados. You can actually take avocado oil, coconut oil, these different types of things. Good farm-raised eggs, of which we have. They're super great in the essential fatty acids, plus it provides choline, which helps to digest the fats themselves. Fish oil, fishes, these different types of things, everybody needs those. Then we get into some things like called adaptogens. So I sell a bunch of different types of adaptogens, meaning adaptogens is, if the name of the game is all about adapting to it, meaning if you're playing chess, what a really good chess player or checkers player is they can adapt how they play and they can win against anybody because they learn how that person plays. And so you don't play the same game. We've always played tic-tac-toe with a kid that, which is they always try to go first and they pick the middle one, right? Statistically, that's probably the best one, which is whether you're X or 0, pick the middle one, right? But, if you know that that's what they're going to do, is there a way to beat that person? Yes, there is absolutely a way. So you adapt to that, meaning if you get the first go and you're going to does that guarantee that you're going to win? No, it does not guarantee. So no way of playing any game basically assures that you're going to win, because if the person can adapt to that, they can win. Doesn't matter what you started with. So this is all about adaptogens, and there's a bunch of herbs, ginseng and all these different types of things, rhodiola, that basically if your hormones are low, it helps to up those hormones naturally. If your hormones are high, it helps to lower those. If your inflammation is low, it helps to increase it. If your inflammation is high, it helps to decrease it. They were called adaptogens. They're basically coming in there. They're like a temp that says, I'll do whatever you need, like a temporary, teacher, which is, I'm not just the science teacher or math. I can do it all. And whatever you need me to do, I'll adapt to that. That's what's called adaptogens. This is Jason Eagle, your natural health authority. I can keep going on and on and on, but it's the end of the show, and I will see you next time. So till next time, bye-bye, everybody. I love you. Great, thank you. Make sure Tony remembers I want a copy of it. Yeah, the MP3, he can, just like he did before. Excellent, thank you so much. All right, bye-bye.
Strategic Healing is located at 2545 North Opdyke Road, Suite 106A in Auburn Hills. Ask the Experts with Jason Eagle of Strategic Healing can be heard every Wednesday at 1 p.m. right here on WRDT, the Word Station. AM 560 is the drive.
Hi, everybody.